I do not like stealth video games. And in games where you can choose between combat and stealth, I'm going to choose combat. And sometimes I think stealth games realize that the best part about them is to not stealth. The most entertaining Hitman video I ever saw was a Swedish man committing mass murder in every level. Now that I just got demonetized, I will also say that I know Assassin's Creed isn't really stealth anymore, but back when it had aspirations, they didn't add a crouch button until 2014 to like the 8th game in the series. I'm saying all this to prove that I really love the stealth and combat in Dishonored. So maybe just maybe this game is worth looking into if you haven't played it before. And if you have played it before, you know what I'm talking about, and go start up another playthrough. It's worth it. This is not going to take long. This game only takes like 10 to 15 hours. Even if you goof off a lot like I did, it took me like 12. Now, the best thing about this game is definitely the gameplay. Think of it like you can have a Lego set, it tells you how to do it, it gives you maybe some options, but for the most part, you're doing what they're telling you to do. Dishonored has no need for this, as Dishonored is the box of all the Legos you've ever had broken down, and it allows you to use the tools provided to create your own style. And like I said before, this is one of the few games where the combat and the stealth, I think, are on the same level of just greatness. In most stealth games, you'll try to reload the save after you get caught, and in other games, if you get caught in stealth, you're not going to reload the save and you're just going to go straight into combat. Here, it's kind of like a mix of both. You'll get caught in stealth, you'll do combat for a little bit, you'll kill a bunch of people, and you're like, alright, time to load back. And like I said, it's all because you have so many fun options that you want to try out. When you get spotted in combat, you can use grenades, you can use these razor wire traps, you can just straight up just hack and slash. In stealth, you got crossbows, you got teleportation abilities, you can stop time, you can get wall hacks, which I abuse probably too much. But gameplay variety like this, gameplay choices, would mean nothing if we didn't take the Lego set outside to the massive sandbox. These games' levels, even ones that feel linear, are filled with so many options. There's so many areas to find, there's so many little side activities to do, and the game incrementally introduces new obstacles that, while yes you can avoid them, you can also turn them on your enemy. And speaking of enemy, that's another piece of the puzzle. In a lot of stealth games, you could be right up in their ass, you could have a full hand up their rectum, you could be right in their nostril, and they won't see you. In this game, the AI, they can be deadly and they're smart. They can also see you in the dark and from far away. So you actually have to plan around them, because if they get in a large group and catch you, they can be pretty deadly. Luckily for me, I just guzzled G Fuel while I fought them, so I was okay. I think the only downside to the gameplay here is the chaos system. I think in theory it's fantastic. How many games where it's like you have choice, it's all one button press within what the game wants you to choose. It's not like real choice, I suppose. You know, think of a game like The Walking Dead by Telltale. Fine games. They're marketed around, this is your story, you get to choose, and that is somewhat correct. Gameplay-wise, though, you have no choice, but that's another topic. Story-wise, though, it's all like one button press at set moments, and a lot of the choices are superficial. Dishonored decided that we're going to make your gameplay choice your moral choice as well, which I think is cool in theory, but if you want the good ending, if you want to go low chaos, there aren't very many non-lethal options. And if you decide to go that route, you got to play like I do in all these gameplay clips, where you're sneaking up on people and choking them out, which is fun in its own right. I had a blast. But if you don't want to feel guilty and like a massive dickhead at the end, you gotta play kind of like a weenie. And it also gets rid of a lot of the items you collect over the game. A lot of the upgrades you're not even gonna use, so it's like, what's the point of getting them? And yes, I know you don't have to go fully non-lethal. You can kill some people. I wish the game told you how many you could kill per level. But at the end of the day, I think the chaos system is great in theory. It's not like a huge deal because you can just like play a level and then it's really easy to load back into the same level and do it non-lethally after. But I think a couple more choices non-lethally would have been nice. Maybe rubber bullets, a stun baton, some weenie shit like that, bro. So enough about the fantastic gameplay. I think one of the main reasons this game has withstood the test of time and why so many people love it is you come for the gameplay, you come for the variety, but you stay for the world that was created. Dishonored has one of the most unique worlds ever portrayed in a video game. It drops you in Dunwall, a Victorian city in a steampunk universe at the heart of a bustling empire that has been ravaged by a rat plague. The society runs almost entirely off of whale oil and their resources. And you combine this with a really well done graphic style, with a little bit of fantasy elements there with the outsider and kind of a dark magic of the void. Some of the best parts of this game is just exploring every nook and cranny of these large levels and finding what lore they have to tell you. I set out at the beginning of my playthrough, I said I'm gonna read most of the lore entries. That lasted for about 2 levels, and then I realized that my brain would melt if I attempted that. Every room you enter has like 3 different lore books at least. It could take centuries to get through all this shit. So I bet in like 5 playthroughs I will have a full understanding of this game's lore once I read everything. But that probably won't happen because in this game you play as Joey Chestnut. Even if your health is full, you're guzzling down whale meat like it's your last meal on death row. I think one of the best parts about this game is it takes that punk very seriously, in the sense that there's really 2 classes in this game. There's the rich and the working class. If I showed you footage from the one party mission, you would never know there was a rap play going on, because that's just how the rich live, the high society live. They're acting like nothing is happening. But then you go to the flooded district later in the game and it's like completely abandoned, full of infected zombies, it seems like. This game does a great job of just showing the difference and drawing parallels to our own world. Now story-wise, I don't think it's anything special. I don't think it has to be. The main objective is to go kill these targets who wronged you in the past. And honestly, I said shit, that's enough for me, and I started killing. And for the most part, this game is pretty simple. There's not a lot of cutscenes, some very predictable plot points. But I think what's most interesting about this game is there's a lot under the surface with each character, what motivates them. And also your targets themselves, who they are, what they do, and how they contribute to this world in a good or a bad way. I think the best way to summarize the world building and the storytelling in this game is that they can show you a lot with so little in terms of dialogue that it's honestly so impressive. You can learn so much about some of these characters by looking at them, by the environments that they're in, by the environments that you find yourself in. Besides that, I don't really have anything else to say. I love this video game. It's probably the only stealth game I enjoyed stealthing in. And it's easy. It might be one of the easiest in the history of gaining an S tier. I remember playing this game like 10 years ago as a legit. I got this in Lego Lord of the Rings. These games could not have been more wildly different. But revisiting, this game was better than I had remembered. I only wish I wasn't so eager to fucking buy it because it was free on Epic like 4 days after I bought and completed it. I fell onto my fucking knees when that shit happened. I wanted to cry. I felt scammed. But at the same time, I'm like, are you scammed if you play a great video game? Yes, the answer is yes. I'll see you stupid bastards next week.